If everyone could take their seats, please. I would like to call to order tonight's CUSD 201 regular meeting of the Board of Education, July 26, 2016. And roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose.
Here.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mrs. Charlton.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Nutbush.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Over there.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get over there.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. I have handed out a sheet. I wanted to make one change. On page 2 of the June 21st Board of Ed meeting minutes. If anybody has any, I just basically separated those two things.
Change looks fine then.
Is everybody
Fine.
okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the amended minutes of the June 21st, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the June 21st, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, before we have public comment, we're going to have a board statement, except today I'm going to go over to the podium. As we have been doing, we wanted to take a couple minutes to do a board statement and a report to the community on WESPA negotiations. And as the process has unfolded, now the district has put forth its most recent offer and cost summary, and WESPA has filed theirs too. So I thought I would just go through some of the pages. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. So one of the things that we felt was very important was to acknowledge the support staff contributions. The board recognizes and appreciates that many contributions made by the support staff who are in the WESPA bargaining unit. The services of the secretaries and clerical staff, teaching assistants, library and media assistants, nursing staff, and food service employees are critical to maintaining a quality educational program for the district students. That was very important to us to make sure we started our information with that. Again, I'm not going through every page. I'm going to jump through a couple of these. A couple things we wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that salaries and benefits will continue to be paid as per the previous contract. The current bargaining contract expired June 30, 2016, which means that it may 2015, sorry, which means that it may be said that WESPA is working without a contract. But as required by the labor law, the board continues to honor the terms of the expired contract while terms for a new contract are being negotiated. WESPA staff will continue to receive their salary, insurance coverage, and other benefits as provided under the terms of the expired contract. Another point worth noticing and noting is that the board is not reducing insurance coverage. Unlike many other districts in recent negotiations, the board has not proposed any changes to its current health insurance contribution for WESPA employees, which remain at 95% for single coverage and 80% for family coverage. Support staff are not being asked to pay additional insurance costs. So one of the things is that District 201 remains committed to these objectives in negotiating with WESPA, and we have been negotiating for over a year now. One of the things is maintaining a committed support staff inside and outside of the classroom and recognizing their invaluable contribution to our students and the community. Continuing to offer a comprehensive compensation package which includes fair, competitive salaries and generous benefits, while also ensuring that the compensation package is reasonable and sustainable. Providing an exceptional work environment for its support staff personnel, and maintaining a sustainable financial position for the district. So one of the things that we have put together is a district economic profile comparing the salaries of WESPA to our neighboring districts. The WESPA staff is composed of multiple categories of employees with myriad duties represented. To ensure the salary range for each category is competitive, the district relies on data from similarly situated regional districts. It's hard to say. The board team believes that its salaries place the district at or above comparable districts. One of the things that's to point out here, this chart that has been prepared by our district is all of these figures, figures that are on this chart have been pulled from the various districts' websites. So that information can be pulled right from their websites. And it shows the yellow column is where our district is. And you can compare that with the average column and all the other districts as well. So then we have another chart that we prepared that shows that same information in a different way. And so we took, some districts don't have some of the staff that we have, like some districts don't have food service staffs. So we were not able to really compare those with other districts. So hence the, back up, hence the NA at the bottom of some of those. So we went with then, prepared this chart showing these 5 different positions, and I think it's, you can deduce for yourself where CUSD 201 is placed above average on every one of these 5 categories, and one of the highest in the surrounding districts. Currently, WESPA receives, the board continues to offer WESPA a comprehensive generous benefit package with the following items: up to 14 paid sick leave days, 1 paid personal leave day, and up to 4 paid bereavement days annually, 10 paid holidays annually, health insurance coverage at 95% for single and 80% for family coverage, and dental insurance coverage at 60% for single and individual rate plus 20% for family. Board paid life and long-term disability insurance. Tuition reimbursement up to $200 annually. Retiree health insurance coverage of up to $800 per year for 5 years, and payment of $40 per day for unused sick days for employees with at least 10 years of service in the district. We have come up with some tentative agreements during our negotiations, I'm happy to say. And during the current negotiations, we have reached tentative agreements on many benefits and working conditions. 1, a longevity bonus of $750 for employees with 20 or more years of service to the district. New licensed teaching assistant pay differential to increase salaries of teaching assistants who pursue or obtain licensure. 25 cents per hour for those with a 4-year college degree, and 50 cents per hour for those with professional educator license. Retirement health insurance benefit to increase from $800 to $1,000 annually. Total reimbursement doubling the eligible reimbursement to $400 for the cost of taking classes or attending conferences. New district sick bank to allow employees to draw up to 60 paid days for personal illnesses when individual paid time off has been exhausted. In addition to that, holidays guaranteeing all union employees 10 paid holidays annually. Flexible benefit plan to continue with an update for IRS contribution level. FMLA leave eligibility clarified. Distribution of final contract on the district website in lieu of paper copies. evaluation committee, and new evaluation tool to be developed jointly by the board and WESPA for use beginning in the 2017-18 school year. And principal secretary elevated from a 10-month to a 12-month position, allowing one current principal secretary to remain in 10-month position. Vacation eligibility to be calculated by considering 10-month position as a full year of service. So where we stand on on the board's proposal regarding salary, for each year in the new 2016 through 2019 contract, expected contract, the board has proposed salary increases to be aligned with the CPA, as the district's annual revenue from property taxes is tied by law to the Consumer Price Index. The board's CPI-based salary increases will ensure annual wage increases for WESPA. Moreover, the board believes that the floor and the ceiling concept ensures wage fairness to staff in changing economic times, as well as fiscal responsibility to our taxpayers. So for the first year, it would be 100% of CPI with a floor of 2% and ceiling of 5%. And the same would be for the second 2 years of the contract too. And known CPI for these years assures each WESPA employee of a 2% wage increase. The board's most recent proposal, or last final proposal, discusses the placement schedule. The board's the offer is to propose to maintain the current salary ranges for new employees, instead of creating the placement schedule that WESPA is demanding to correct perceived former unjust settlements. Although WESPA believes that its starting salary ranges are not in parity with other Illinois districts, the board's review of comparable salaries in surrounding DuPage districts shows that its current salary ranges are at or exceed those of other districts. And we refer back to the slides and the graphs that we had showed. WESPA's proposed placement schedule would sharply escalate salaries at a cost that would be fiscally irresponsible. Merit-based incentive payments. One of the things that the board proposed was a new benefit. This new annual benefit would be an annual merit bonus incentive payment to employees, considering both their performance evaluation and experience credit in the district. This proposal originated from the board's desire to reward WESPA employees, acknowledging their years of service and commitment to the district. The bonus dollars for distribution under the board's proposal would total 2% of the annual WESPA payroll. The bonus monies distributed to eligible employees would not be added to their annual salary. It would be a bonus. The parties have already agreed to establish an evaluation committee composed of members of both WESPA and the administration to develop a new support staff evaluation tool for use starting in 2017-2018 school year. This tool will be the basis of the merit-based bonus monies. And last, so the key economic points of the board's most recent offer, which was June 3rd, 2016. The duration of the contract would be a 3-year contract covering 2016-17, 17-18, and 18-19 school years. The annual salary increase at 100% of CPI with a 2% floor and a 5% ceiling. The merit bonus incentive would award annual bonus incentive payments for performance or experience totaling 2% of the WESPA payroll. Retirement health insurance and benefits, increase annual benefit from $800 to $1,000. Longevity, add annual benefit of $750 to employees after 20 years of service. Teaching assistant pay, maintain new hire salary ranges, attract and retain exceptional employees at competitive starting salaries. Teaching assistant pay provides 25 and 50 cent pay differential for those assistants with 4-year college degrees or professional educator license. And principal secretary 12-month position. Increased position from 10 to 12 months at current hourly rate for additional hours, with grandfathering of any current secretary who wants to remain in a 10-month position. Calculating vacation eligibility, considering the 10-month position as a full year of service. In conclusion, the board would like to ensure everyone that we are looking forward to securing a fair and equitable contract with the members of WESPA, and we look forward to the start of another great school year for our students. Okay, are there any public comments? All right, then we'll move to the consent agenda. Any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. Employment of licensed staff. Rebecca Nolte, part-time social studies teacher, Westmont High School. Tanya Aparicio, bilingual special education teacher, Miller Elementary School. Mayra Farrell, dual language first grade teacher, Miller Elementary School. Employment of support staff, Julie Julitz, part-time school secretary, Miller Elementary School. Anisha Galrelik, full-time interim accounting coordinator, business office. Number 2, approval of towel service. 3, approval of Westmont High School pool rental. 4, renewal of SELF workman's compensation insurance. 5, resolution to abate working cash funds. 6, approval of additional June 2016 expenditure report. 7, ratification of June 2016 regular payroll. And 8, approval of July 2016 expenditure report.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an update on our summer facilities projects.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to give you an update. Things have been going very quickly. I know a few of you have seen the construction site. It seems like every day, there's an awful lot going on, and really, Pepper's been doing a great job keeping up with it. Today, we have Jay Ripsky, who's head of the K-12 division for Pepper. Eric Schwab is our senior project manager for Pepper, and Jeff Dvorak, who's the superintendent in charge of the entire project, but then he's focusing basically on the high school and the junior high, and then Kurt Larson is working under him and driving forward the Manning and Miller renovation projects in addition. So these are very new photos. These are all from today. I wanted to kind of give you an idea of where everything's at, and you'll see we're at different phases of construction at each project location. And feel free to ask any questions as we go through this. It's a fairly whirlwind tour, but I'll try to make sense of it as we go through these. So we're going to start at the high school and start outside the building. So this is basically the main entrance on the west side. You can see to the left, the existing set of doors is gone. There's new windows going in there. That goes into the principal's office, and then where the curved masonry is, new windows will go in there, and that goes into the new reception area of the main school office. This is, the windows are coming early August, but basically the masonry work is done. We're just waiting for some sills. Once you come in the door, this is the secure vestibule that a visitor would come into. They'd be buzzed in, they'd come into this spot. If you went straight forward, those doors would be locked after the school day has started. And then basically to the left, you'll see there's glass on the left-hand side. That's the main school office. The door to the right is into a workroom area where, if you recall, Sonia used to be, receiving visitors. So now they'll come in here, then they'll get buzzed in the second set of doors into the main office. So there's a lot of visibility from the office to the entry, which you didn't have before, and now it's a secured process as far as entering the building. This is looking at to the left there. That's the set of doors that you go into the reception area, and then there's a series of windows between that office area and the corridor and the vestibule for visibility. This is the reception area. There's basically a low partial height partition here that will have a transaction counter on it, and then there'll be 2 staff members in this area. This is looking back towards the front, so you'll see there's plywood enclosures there now, but once that's opened up, we have windows. There'll be more light coming in. We're also adding a skylight in this area, so we'll bring natural light into this open office area. So they'll be able to see outside, and they'll be able to really see anyone coming and going from the school. We also, in the vestibule, there's going to be a series of casework there with basically 4 sections. So if a parent, if kids forget their lunch, which unfortunately seems to happen, especially with my kids, and you need to drop it off at school, you could come there, go in, get buzzed in, and put it into, freshman locker, and then you don't have to get buzzed into the office, and the kids could come pick them up at lunchtime. So that was something we talked about the whole, late kids forgetting things, a book at home or whatever. Now they'll have an opportunity to put those somewhere, and it won't really disturb or disrupt what's going on in the main office.
Can we not share that with the students?
You can call it whatever you want. So then this is looking, this is in the same office area. The set of doors that's straight ahead to the right, that is the assistant principal's office. So now, instead of being completely on another side of the building, it'll actually be in the main office area. The doors to the left and further back is the registrar's office. And both of those offices have windows between their office area out into the commons. So there'll be a sense of supervision from this main office area into where the students are in the commons. This is in that same main office looking to the north. The door straight ahead is the new nurse's suite, nurse's office. The door to the left is Jack's office, and then to the right is a center workroom to support this area. This is looking towards the commons in this main area. On the first door on the left is the nurse's office. The next set of doors, those 2 doors, are basically guidance counselors. And then there's a small meeting room and another office on the right-hand side. And then the doors straight ahead exit out into the commons. This is inside one of the guidance offices looking back towards the corridor. So you'll see on the left is a borrowed light window that goes out into the commons, and then there's a door and a side light out into the corridor area. So you'll see in here, this went so fast. I was there on a Thursday or whatever, going through with Jeff, looking at rough-ins for electrical. Came back, I think, on Monday, and all the drywall was hung. I think he had 18 guys show up on a Saturday trying to get ahead and stay on the schedule. So it's been fast and furious. We've been really working together very well, trying to make sure that they're not waiting on anything and coming out and doing a lot of just incremental inspections so that they can keep going forward. So this is in the commons, kind of towards where the library media center is, looking at this whole main office suite. So as you saw before in the design, we basically tried to incorporate the whole feel of the building with these curves. To the left is out towards the main entrance, and then to the right is towards the commons eating area. So everything now is being taped and sanded and ready for painting. This is looking towards the kitchen area. We're cleaning this out because they're actually there with carpet, and they'll be starting to do layouts. So Jeff's been working diligently. This used to be full with all kinds of materials, building everything out, and now we've been moving that to the south, and you'll see it later in phase 2, which is now being used as kind of a staging area. That area, those pallets to the right, that's all ceiling tile, which I was joking Jeff today. It's really nice to see that because it's a good sign. This is looking at the kind of serving area, and you can see the ceilings, kind of those dark rectangles. All the grids up, all the border tiles have been installed. Where those small squares are, those are where the new pendant light fixtures will be hanging. So we're basically going to be inspecting that and hopefully closing that up at the end of this week. I'm going to look at that on Thursday with Jeff, and then to make sure everything's set, and then they'll basically put the pads in, and that ceiling area would be done. They're currently painting this area. This is kind of standing where the serving line is and looking back towards the office area. It's a little different configuration. If you remember those little kind of satellite walls. They had no doors or anything where counselors were and everything. They were on the east side of these columns. Now everything's on the west side, but we're taking up a little bigger area because we actually now have what's why we consider a normal school office. This is kind of a bonus space. This is an area, this is, if you went towards the Spanish classrooms, there's 6 classrooms kind of in the northwest, there was a large volume of space of just like a sea of carpet that in our estimation was underutilized, so we basically created a meeting room by carving out and creating a space in that area. So we removed some lockers and we're going to relocate them, but now this is a decent sized meeting room. If you're familiar having a meeting at the high school in their normal conference room, this is like another one of those. And that's really been a shortage at the high school, whether you're talking about on the teaching level or the administrative level, is just meeting space. This project, we're introducing a lot of different sizes of meeting spaces that I think will really be a benefit for the staff and students as they go forward. This is then back, this was really evolved out of working with Pepper and trying to figure out how to phase all this. This is the, if you remember, the old industrial arts area. So we had, an auto shop, a metal shop, a wood shop. The auto shop became buildings and grounds area, and then we basically had these two huge spaces that were basically just single classrooms, but they were humongous. We've now created in that footprint 4 new nice-sized classrooms plus 4 breakout rooms attached to those. And this is going to be kind of a suite of special ed space. So we'll have teaching spaces, breakout spaces for the students, office space, all in a combined area. And it's really, this is like net new space at the high school that we're really excited about. This was really the first area we started into because we didn't have to really demo too much or start too much. So you'll see this is kind of the tip of the spear as far as the completion goes. We have a roll of carpet standing there on the left, which is a good sign, but they're basically laying down, these have been painted, and they're laying down flooring now. This is in one of those typical special ed classrooms. We now have walls. We have to the left is the door that goes out to the corridor with there'll be an oak door with a half glass and then glazing and the side light. To the right is a breakout room off of the special ed space so that they could have a group function going on, but then do some individualized instruction to a student, but still be in the same general area. This is one of those breakout rooms. And this is one of the other classrooms that's on the outside. And here you can see the classroom space and then the breakout room that's adjacent to it that has a side light, in this case also a borrowed light. And this is just to the south, a room where now we're laying down carpet. So this is a great sign to see this going. What was it, a week or 2 ago we started getting carpet deliveries? Yeah. So that was really good. We've had rolls of carpet sitting there, which is great. So now the grid's up, light fixtures are up, the lighting's all LED, it's all dimmable. We have this area, we modified the mechanical, and basically dressed it up. It was a pretty rough space because you basically kind of stopped those programs and then moved some people in there. Now these are really appropriately sized and nice teaching spaces. So now I'm kind of taking you back outside the building because I want to kind of focus on now what the new student entrance. And this is to the south of the building where that vehicle is parked is the main student entrance that would take you in between the gymnasium and auditorium. The piece of plywood to the left of that van is basically going to be the new student entrance. So if they come after hours and the school's locked down, that's their entrance where they'd come in. Sonia will be in there. And you can see we created to the left of that a new window, which is basically you'll see in the we call this the suite, the student services suite. They'll be able to see out and really supervise this area. And then on the far left where that tree is, we added another window there. So in that suite, and it's hard to see right now because we have plywood in place, but there's now an awful lot of visibility, and we'll have the dean there, psych, social work, we'll have a lot of administrative people there related to student services, but they'll also be kind of the eyes and ears of the administration at the high school related to that student entrance and also the parking lot. They can see from these spaces a big area. So that's always been kind of a blind spot at the high school. We have technology we've used like video, but now there'll literally be someone there all the time to be able to see this, and we're kind of excited about it. And we think also there'll be less of the opportunity where a kid's late and they're coming in, the doors are locked, and someone goes by to gym and they kind of hit the door and let them in. So Sonia might be a little bit busier, but I think this is really a good setup, and I really like the fact that now we have more security and visibility on this part of the school. And really, Kevin Weck at the high school was instrumental with Jack and with Hector in like thinking about how the school really functions, and that we needed to have some adults in this area, because the original design where all the offices kind of at the west entry, that's really not a busy entry. There's only visitor parking there, where everyone's really, all the kids are coming and going from the south. So now we kind of address both. We have the adult, main office to the west, and now we have this student services area that faces to the east and the south.
Before you leave that slide, Steve,
Sure.
so now all those doors, they're going to be locked then during the school day?
Correct.
So that's where the kids used to come in?
They are currently locked, but it was interesting when we introduced lobby guard, back last year, and we were going through training. Some of your staff were recalling how in the past there actually had been, someone there every day watching and trying to stop the kids from, in a way, sneaking in through that door. It was impossible to supervise because there's really no one there. Now there'll be people there, and I also think that in a secondary level, we'll have a whole series of adults that are going to be on now the east side of the classroom arc. So you really have a great supervision and support for the students. And the fact that this is really where all the student services are, in appropriate offices with doors, ceilings, acoustic privacy, I really think you're going to be able to deliver such better services in an appropriate environment in this area. So it's really a win-win, but it was really great. The high school team came up with this concept, and we were able to incorporate it into the design. You'll see the safety flags up on the roof. Was it today started or?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, we basically started cutting skylights in, and you'll see we only have the curbs right now, but some of them were open, and the amount of light. I remember, Gary, when you were walking, you said, we have corridors, which was, an amazing thing. At the high school, they actually have a corridor. But, I thought spatially they were nice, but the vision, the amount of natural light that we're going to be bringing into this part of the school, I'm really excited about, and you'll see a little flavor of that later. So this is back inside the building, looking towards that new entrance 21A. So that the door frame that's right inside you, that would be locked. Somebody would come in, and then they would be buzzed into the office where Sonia would be. The door to the right in this picture goes into the student services area, and then at this location we did a renovation, created a unisex bathroom to improve bathroom uses for someone with a disability, also visitors, staff, because there's kind of a lack of any kind of staff bathrooms in this area. So there's a very flexible unisex bathroom in this area. So this is the entry area, the reception area of the student services. So again, there'll be a small transaction counter with a normal height and an ADA height, and then to that door frame to the right is Kevin Weck's office, and then there's a hallway and then a series of offices in this area. So this is looking towards the south. This is a small meeting room here to the right, so that if they had a larger meeting that they really needed a room, they could have this. And it's also a flex space. If we had some kind of personnel changes, this could become an office in the future if it was needed. This is like Kevin's office, and you'll see, he can basically look out and see the athletic fields and the parking lot. So now we're taking you back kind of out into the commons. To the right of this would be the Library Media Center, and this is looking south, and this wall that curves, and then that door frame, that is basically the barrier, the acoustic barrier that separates the arc of classrooms from the commons. So there'll be a set of doors there, there'll be glass up above. These doors will be held open normally, but during lunch periods, they could just pull the doors and the closes would release, and then they'll have these acoustic doors. In the event of an intruder, there's a button at the main office that if that was pushed, there's 4 sets of these doors. They would close and latch and lock. So that in the academic wing, there would basically be compartmentalized areas that they'll have 2 exits out that they could flee the building, but an intruder couldn't get into that zone without breaking through these doors. We worked with the police department. They asked us to add a feature here where we basically put a fob access at these sets of doors so that if it was a critical incident, they could get in there with the fob that they used to access the building. So this kind of starts the first phase 1 kind of classroom area. Right behind this curved wall is basically the Maker Lab, the new Maker Lab that will be, I'm excited to see what your staff and the students do with that. This is now looking down that corridor. And here you can see, this is just natural light coming into the corridor. And some of these were still blocked off with plywood, but there's basically, I think, just under 25 skylights, and there'll be prismatic triple glazed skylights that will really scatter light. And the idea is, even though like the classroom to the right here is not on an outside wall, it has clear story windows, and the idea that you have natural light coming into it. We hope that the teachers that are not on the outside are still going to at least know if it's sunny or not. They'll be part of kind of the natural nature of things, and I think it will really be nice teaching spaces. It was interesting going into some of them on the inside today that had no lights on and just had natural light coming through the clear story. You know, I was joking with Mike that really the night lights are not going to be required on a normal day. There's just going to be enough natural light. This shows a typical kind of classroom setup. These are 2 classrooms with sets of doors, kind of in this recess, and to the left there is another clear story that goes into a typical classroom. This is the framing. This is where they just cut the roof opening today for, they're installing the curbs now and then capping them, and then the skylights will be delivered shortly, and then they'll install the final skylight.
Can I interrupt for a second? So
Sure.
what's interesting here is I've had somebody ask me about skylights and that, and so I think some people were thinking that there's just going to be like this hallway with lights, but you're true skylights, like up in opening the roof.
Correct. They're
Like
small
true
pyramids.
skylights.
They're 4-sided
Yeah.
pyramids. They're triple glazed. They're by a company called Sun Optics out of California, and they sell a lot of their products to Walmarts and kind of big box. Their motto is, there's nothing cheaper than off. So they basically put these skylights in. They're highly efficient. And then what's really unique to them, a lot of skylights, and if you have a skylight at your house, you know you get like a shaft of light. And that can be a problem with fading, too much heat in a certain area. They use a polycarbonate, which is super strong, and then it's on one surface, it's actually prismatic, so it scatters the light and diffuses the light. So instead of a shaft of light, like you can see here to the right, because it's just a hole in the roof, the light is really diffused. I mean, there's probably some prismatic 2x4s in this building. It gives a very even light, which I really like, and they're very strong. In each of these openings, there's a mesh that you can't see in this photo, but a grid of stainless steel bars. They're very small, but that protect it from either intrusion or someone falling through. But these things are so strong that I think they could hold, I think they're rated for 250 pounds. You could be on top of these skylights and they would not collapse. And we have basically a triple layer of these polycarbonate lenses in here. So I'm kind of, then there'll be a drywall shaft, and then in these corridors, there's going to be a series of pendant lights marching down the corridor, illuminating down and up. So the idea is, I mean, one thing that really stood out to me, especially with the old slope ceilings and the can lights, the ceiling planes look very dark, in my estimation. This, I think, the ceilings, the whole building should feel much brighter and more airy, and I think I'm really excited about that as far as the kind of change the perception of the building and the benefit for learning. All kinds of studies prove that natural light benefits student learning. And it makes sense. I mean, we're all human beings and we're used to natural light and we crave it. And just to know night and day, is it a storm coming, kind of being in tune with nature is really important. Years ago when Mike and I did that window project, there was a teacher we were talking to who had been there a very long time, I think close to 30 years. And you know, she didn't even believe us we were putting windows in. But I mean, she had been in this zone where you could not see outside and had not ever for almost her whole career. The idea of having this natural light, I'm really excited about.
The reason I bring it up is because I remember on these myriads of tours we've taken in the last couple of years, I remember somebody asking, well, if we put up the walls, then won't it make it just darker?
Right.
So that's why I'm bringing out this point that it's not just a light in a hallway, it's actually real, not
Natural light.
natural light.
Right.
It's natural.
And that's a good concern, because I mean there's a beauty to the openness of the building, but in closing it, then you know we're worried about that effect. So that's where our lighting, you'll see they're basically these circular pendants like a ring, and it will illuminate down and up, because I really think having the ceiling brighter will make the whole building feel more bright and airy and more inspiring. So
Thank
I'm
you.
excited to see these corridors I mean, I think we're probably like a week or so out with the skylights being installed.
Yep.
And then you'll really be able to see, I mean, as soon as their head of their jipboard, steel stud and jipboard, he's so fast, we were joking that the guy cut a hole in the roof, puts the skylight in, and he was up there framing the shaft. I'm sure the shaft is already built.
First one's down.
We were joking that the steel angles are still hot from the guy cutting the roof deck, but Romero, he's moving, so that was good.
Okay, thank you.
This shows a typical classroom. So this is kind of back in the classrooms. The classrooms vary from high 700s to like mid 800s. They're nice sized spaces, nice proportions. This is looking from like a corner classroom towards the corridor wall. So that high clear story window will have shades on it so you can control the light there, but they'll be seeing natural light coming into the rooms. And you can see here the grid's up, mechanical's being done. You know, this, our hope is that we'll be looking at these on Thursday, and that all the ceilings will be going in next week. And then carpet right after that. This is in that hallway. This is still phase 1, looking towards phase 2. So that frame with the clear story above, that will be the end of the project in this area in phase 1. Right to the left of that worker is a corridor that takes you out. That's one of the 2 exits from this zone. And you'll see this from the other side. So this is really phase 1 and where it will end. So there's about a half a dozen classrooms there, then the whole student services suite. This is now, we're in the phase 2 area looking back. So this is the opposite side of that wall. And this is basically going to be closed off as a construction barrier so that when they're working in phase 2, there'll be no way to get from phase 2 to phase 1 within the building, so that there'll be complete separation of workers and students. And you can see now this is where Jeff's been moving all his materials, having all the subs move their gang boxes and materials here. And this is a large open space. I remember when I was there with you, Gary, I mean, it's like a basketball court. I mean, all the old walls are down. This was demolished at the same time as phase 1. And, but there, in some ways, when somebody was busy or had some free time, they've been building over here. So the base tracks for the corridor walls are already installed. They've been laying things, it's all laid out. The geometry is all done. So this is a nice area for them to come to if they need to make up some time. And then to the far distance is the new wall that will separate phase 2 from phase 3. And this is a closer view of that. Right now it's steel studs, but before we finish, this will all be drywalled and closed off so that the people that are in the phase 3 area can enter into the renovated commons or out of the building. And I wanted to show you this because this is, I was joking, Pepper, that we need to get a bunch of hard hats for these teachers. This is, you know, we had to demolish the ceilings now because it would make no sense to come back later. We've done some temporary things, like we brought in, made temporary connections, so this will have the air cooling during while they wait for this area to be addressed, but they'll have lighting, exposed structure, everything will be safe. There's some spots that won't have carpet, but it's really going to be kind of a rough area. We have about 4 or 5 classrooms in this area that was currently math, and this is the last section, but I kind of wanted you to get a sense for what's going on here. But like to the right is one of the clamshells, we call it, that were the teaching areas of the original design. So this is the last remaining one, right? Yeah, this is a lone survivor. So this is in that clamshell looking out towards, these were the math classrooms. So you can see that's the original partial height walls, the borrowed lights. So we have, you know, we left the original lights up, we took the ceiling down, we modified the sprinkler heads so they're upright heads during this phase, so they're safe. And we'll have all the proper exiting, everything will be functional, but it's going to be a little bit more of a loft look during that phase. Now this is back in the commons looking towards that, what will be phase 3. So everything up to this set of doors, the library will be to your left, bathrooms to your right, will all be finished in phase 1, and then through that door will be what will be the last phase, is phase 3. And that's the end. If you have any other questions for the high school, then we're going to jump to the junior high.
How many skylights are going in?
17 total. 16 in the corridor and 1 in the office.
Yeah. Which I think the count's higher than that. I think it's 27.
That's,
Yeah. There's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you figure out anything with the existing skylights? We're talking about the shafts and maybe repainting them or doing something.
Yeah, we actually just looked at that today. I'm glad you brought that up. That was something, as we talked about as a design team, as we really work on this project and looking at the original drawings from 1974, those monitors, or the skylights, they really were supposed to bring a lot of natural light in. I mean, they were planning on growing plants on that brick wall, and it didn't work, but they were planning on it. And really looking at it, getting up high, there's just a lot of angles for the light to get through those monitors and down. So one thing we just did kind of a mock-up today was painting a section of it with a ceiling white high gloss to see if it would get any more light down. And looking at it today, I really think it does. It's not like 1,000% better, but it's more natural light, and it's an inexpensive way to make it a little better. We've gone up there and cleaned it. There was basically, from 1976 to today, all that dust buildup up on these kind of ledges. So our laborer, who's a full-time laborer, went up there and really cleaned it up, and so it's going to be cleaner. And then I think it's going to be an improvement. I think people, when they come into the commons, between the lighting and that slight improvement, it should feel brighter. Because it was intriguing. I'd be there on a sunny day like today in the past, and just it did not seem as bright. And then to think that they were going to grow plants, along where you had the wood chips, they were expecting a lot of light in there, and it just didn't happen. I think there were just too many angles on the design. But that was 1970s, that you couldn't do a computer model of something and measure with candles, so it was harder.
Speaking of the wood chips, you want to mention that they're gone?
They are gone.
Oh, they're gone.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, it was probably one of the previous photos. I mean, now there's, I just kind of forgot about that. That actually happened pretty early on. We took those out and filled those with concrete, so that unfortunately is gone. Okay, so now we're going to go across the street to the junior high, the smallest scope of our series of projects, just because it had more work. The office had been renovated extensively in 2007 and made a secure entry. And we basically had 6 classrooms that were still open from the 1970s. And then we had 2 small group areas off of corridors that were also not enclosed. So this shows one. This is to the west towards the main office. Steel studs are up, the door frame's in, the ceiling's being modified, all the electrical's done. So they basically just started, was it yesterday, hanging drywall? Yeah. Yeah, so they're hanging drywall, and you'll see, they started on this is on the north end. They've already been hanging drywall on the south end, and you'll see some of that. So to the right, it would be like one of the classrooms that were enclosed in the early 80s, and then to the left was just open. So now it will actually be secureable. There'll be light switches at the doors versus wandering through a space to find the switch at one of those control boxes. So the increase in security, I think, is great. This is looking more to the east. This is right across from north of the Library Media Center. In these series of classrooms, we not only enclosed them, but we also added this borrowed light you can see to the right, so that they really like currently their kind of relationship with the Library Media Center. So we wanted to secure the space, but give them more glass so they can look and get the natural light that's in that space. And there's a lot of functions they do together with the Library Media Center, so this made sense to add these borrowed lights in this location. This is further to the east, and this is looking at one of these alcoves. Through kind of where the natural light's coming in is the courtyard. So it was just an open area off of the corridor, and now this will be enclosed. This small group kind of breakout space. They'll have these borrowed lights on either side, and then a door with side lights, so that there'll be a lot of visibility between this space and the classroom. So if a small group of students went there, the teacher could see them from the classroom, but they could, in the event of an issue, close the door, or just for acoustic privacy, they could close the door, still be supervised, but have, not be disturbing anyone else. And this is just a little further down, another one of these classrooms with the borrowed lights. This is now in the south area where they started hanging drywall. So this is, to the right is this, what was an alcove, which is now a small group space that has, partitions, glazing, doors, and some new electrical. And then across the hall, this is one of the first classrooms that was, is now fully drywalled, and they'll start taping this soon. Okay, so now we're going to Miller. So this is looking at the main entrance of Miller. So across from the Bobcat was the original doors. You can see the mason here and have a closer view. That underneath that mason is what would be the new entrance if someone came after hours and the doors are locked. So it'll be a glass door, goes into what was a small room, was used by student services, and that becomes the secure vestibule or entry for the school. Where the pieces of plywood are to the left, underneath the Miller sign, are windows so that we can have natural light and also allow the principal, you'll see in some other photos, will be able to see out to the street from their office area. So that's a real positive. We really wanted to make it as glassy and as transparent so that there's good supervision, and then the fact that now the main office, instead of being on the second floor in the back, is actually on the first floor and controls the entry of the building is a real positive. This is a closer view where the mason was just finishing. They modified the masonry inside and we're cutting and modifying the stone. So where that dark area is will be aluminum door and frame, which would be where someone would get buzzed in if they came to visit the school. They'd use the lobby guard. You know, if the thing prints out properly, and then they get buzzed into the office area. So this is looking at that vestibule. So that bright area to the left is that door. So that will be the new entrance to the building after hours. And then the plywood will be 2 new sets of windows out to the street, to Traube. This is standing in the small corridor that goes between, went between kind of art and the gym. The gym would be to the right in this photo. So this is in that same location. Actually, this is now going into that vestibule and looking towards the principal's office. So the blue doors on the left, that's the gymnasium. And then you'll see we have borrowed lights, doors with side lights. So the 2 secretaries will be in that space and be able to supervise this secure entry. And then behind them is the principal and storage. So, you know, we got them down on the proper floor, and I think they'll have really good visibility. And I took a photo so you can kind of look from their vantage point towards the entry. This is that space where the 2 secretaries will be. To the right is the principal's office, and then to the left there's a couple of storage rooms. This is the old art music space. So this is where their viewpoint, where the secretaries would be looking towards the entry. So across from them is they can see the entry door, and they can see this vestibule area where the lobby guard would be located. This is the second floor. It looks a little different. This used to be the entrance to the principal's office, the main office. We've closed in the original opening, and that door opening is a new one we created on the corridor wall. And this is now a student services suite for Miller. Miller really had a problem with space where the student services people were scattered, you know, like seeds in the wind. I mean, they were at all different corners of the building. This is really going to create a nice opportunity to have a proper space that has privacy, that allows them to meet and work and assist these students in a proper way. And it's basically a cluster of 4 small offices and then a commons area. So they could have a small group of students working together, but they'd be supervised by the staff that are in these different areas. And you'll see that in some of these pictures. So this is when you come off the corridor looking forward. There's 2 offices to the right, 2 offices to the left, and then straight ahead is a small kind of bullpen area with a lot of natural light that would be for these student kind of collaborative events. Could be for larger meetings if you had a whole family you wanted to meet with, that they could use that space. So I'm really excited about this. I mean, ever since I've been working on Miller, I've seen these, whatever the kind of aid it was, moving to different locations, kind of just trying to find wherever they could go. In some cases back originally, it was almost behind, in a corner of a classroom behind a movable partition, you know, in an old storage room or whatever. This is really a big improvement for Miller. I'm really excited about this. So it shows, looking to the east, a couple of these offices looking from this kind of shared space in the middle. Okay, so we head a little further south. Now we're at J.T. Manning. So this is starting on Linden. This is looking from the north to the new secure vestibule addition. Right now, the load-bearing masonry is up. The ramp has been poured. The roof framing's up. A lot of the work's going on. So the final touches will be the completing the masonry, installing the windows, and the final doors. But this is our one addition as part of this project. This is looking at it from the street side. And ultimately, if you remember the renderings and everything, this will have kind of the detailing, the collegiate Gothic detailing that was on the original 1927 building is going to be incorporated into this. Straight ahead has a set of stairs and railings up to, gets you at this landing elevation, and then to the right is a switchback ADA accessible ramp. There's a little closer view. They were framing up all the rebar today, and I think they're pouring the landing and the stairs tomorrow. And in this view, just get a point of reference, those windows that are kind of to the right on what would be the main level of the school, that was a classroom that was then relocated and is now going to be the main office. So this has windows on 3 sides, good visibility of the entire Linden area. So during student drop-off and pickup, we'll have like an adult there really able to see what's going on as people coming and going. We'll have an accessible entrance on Linden, versus going up to the north and coming in through the library, the kindergarten room, and just really good. What I think is the entrance of this school should have always been on Linden, just never was. Now, when someone types in 200 North Linden on their GPS, it'll actually send them to the right spot. This is inside that secure vestibule looking towards the north, the existing buildings to the left. So you can see the roof framing's up and the masonry's done, the slab's been poured inside this space. This is the same space looking to the south. So to the right, those are the original doors that will be replaced, but that was basically door entry 2 or stairwell C that goes into J.T. Manning. And we basically kept, it was going back and forth, but this detailing is, I think, so unique and interesting that we decided to basically keep it as an interior design element. So we're not burying it. We're going to basically clean it up and leave it exposed. So in a way, you'll see it on the outside in the kind of a new detailing that we're installing, and then the original 1927 will be visible inside here. So when someone comes in, they'll be buzzed in the set of doors to the right, to the left here. They'll go in, go through lobby guard, and then if everything's set, they'll then be buzzed into this set of doors, and then they'll be able to go into the school office or go wherever they're, if they're an aide helping or a parent volunteer, they'll know where to go. This is inside that vestibule. We had like an unknown condition. We have no drawings for this building. Unfortunately, they just don't exist. So we kind of ran into a really odd scenario here where the wall looked like it shouldn't be load-bearing, but when we demolished it, we were looking at some really odd details. So we brought our structural engineer out, looked at it closely with Kurt Larson, the superintendent, and decided to err on the side of safety, and we just had to install a small beam to pick up with. There's a small wall up on the landing level. There's like an office on the landing level, but we just could not make heads or tails out of why it was built the way it was. And then to the left will be where a Garaventa lift will take you up this, basically 3.5 feet to the main level. So now if someone comes in, during parent-teacher night or whatever, and they have a disability, they can come through the main entrance and get into the school. So this is right at the top of those stairs, turning to the right. This becomes the main office. So the existing door to the right, that's there right now. We basically wanted to make it more visible, give them better supervision. So we basically created this borrowed light to bring visibility into the main office area to the corridor. Don't have a lot of photos in here. This guy was painting crazily, and it was kind of a haze of paint, and so I had to take one quick one. But basically where we're standing right now and looking, that's where the 2 secretaries would be. The door behind the painter is the principal's office, and then there's a small storage workroom to the left, and then there's some small closets to the right. You can see kind of the remnants of the old ceiling up above. This will have all new finishes and new ceiling systems, new flooring, and new mechanical. This is in the corridor looking at was the entrance to the old nurse's office, which was really strange, something that happened there over the years, a lot of renovations. There was a combination of, if you remember, kind of wood paneling and masonry. It was really a hodgepodge. We removed that and basically created an ADA compliant recessed entry and with a door and skylight, and this becomes a workroom for the staff for the school. So we'll have now a centralized location for copiers, supplies, preparing projects. And this is looking at that room. There used to be basically 2 small spaces. We opened it up and made it 1 space. This is looking towards the alley side, and this is looking back towards the corridor. And this, you can kind of tell from the old mural, that was the original school office. So where that unpainted block is, that was where the window opening was into the school office. And then the door was on the side of that. So now we closed that in, and that new door opening that's to the right goes into the new nurse's suite. And this is inside that suite to the right, where the borrowed light window is a small office. This is then the treatment area, and then the door on the right is an oversized ADA compliant bathroom with an ADA toilet with swing down grab bars. So if a student has a severe disability, you need 2 staff members to assist them, that they can. There's a small handheld shower in case you needed to do a diaper change and things have gotten a little messy, toilet accessories and everything. It's really important that with the increase of disabled students with a myriad of disabilities coming to public schools, to have a space like this to properly address them and take care of them in a dignified way, in a private, dignified way. So you can now, this will give the school the ability to really, take care of any student or an adult in that matter that had a need and needed a space. So you'll see it's a nice size space and it has a lot of nice accessibility features. It's basically kind of beyond ADA. It's really for people that would have more severe disabilities than someone who's able-bodied or able self-controlling. And this is that bathroom. So all the plumbing's roughed in. They have the cement board up and getting ready for finishes. So in schedule. So the bottom line, with the assistance of great work by Pepper, we're on schedule. The big date is August 15th. That's a substantial completion date. And what that means is everything is completed enough to allow for the owner to basically start to take over and occupy spaces. There'll still be punch lists, minor things that we'll be working on, but it will allow, on the 15th, the mover's coming. So we have, 6 or 8 trailers in the parking lot. Furniture will start coming back in. And at the high school, it's the first phase will be done. Phase 2 and phase 3 still have to go, but then the junior high, Manning, and Miller also will be completely done, substantially complete on the 15th. And I'm sure we'll be doing some things down to the end because of just timing, where we might be laying sod. But the good news is we have basically for student arrival, between the 15th and the 29th to take care of these punch list items and final items. Teacher Institute days are the 25th and 26th. So it's going to be fast and furious. We've been working with the village. They've been very helpful. We asked them, with a public school, they do a collaborative review and suggest things. So we walked through, normally they want to do it at the end. We had them come out last week and walk the project, so that was really helpful for the look at things early with us, so that if there were some spots where they wanted some additional sprinkler heads, we were able to do that and not slow down Jeff and his team. So that was really helpful by Westmont. And then they'll come back basically that week of the 15th. On Monday the 22nd, the ROE will be doing their inspection for occupancy with us. We've already contacted them, and we'll be sending them documents beforehand. So, it'll be an awful lot. Like if you even came like next Tuesday, things will look a lot different than these photos, because now is when it really starts to go quickly, when, once we can get the trades, pipe fitters and sheet metal guys out of a space, and now you can hang ceilings, put lights in, finish painting the walls, put the carpet down. Now we're really starting to move quickly. So I'm kind of excited that the next few weeks it will really be going quickly. And then basically phase 2, which you saw, that area right now is just a big void. That will continue to be worked on once we complete phase 1, and then that will be at the end of October. That will be completed. And then phase 3, which is that small group of kind of mass rooms that right now won't have a ceiling, that will be basically right before Christmas break. And then this, I showed this to you before, but I thought this is helpful, just in colors. The purple is basically phase 1, and then the orange is phase 2, and then the bright green is phase 3. So that's kind of gives you an idea how the demarcs work. And it was just really fortunate the way the building kind of lays out that we were able to phase it this way. We lucked out in the mechanical system, the zones and everything, and that was a really big question mark as far as cost. And it was just set up properly, or not properly, it was set up in enough increments that we were able to rezone and get proper thermostatic control and be able to take and start cooling that purple phase while we're working in the orange phase. And then what's also great, you'll see like door number 23 and 24, perfect construction entrances for Pepper and all the subcontractors to move in and out of the building and have no involvement at entrance 1 or 21 and stay separate from those from the students. And that's the whirlwind tour.
Yay.
Looks like you guys have been busy.
Yeah, I'm clapping.
We're busy.
Very exciting.
Jeff has really been great. I mean, he's, you almost think he sleeps here. But it's been, they've had quite a team. Eric's been, involved in this. Kelly Ropers has been working with her. She's another project manager. We have a couple interns with Pepper that have been on the project. Jay's been giving us assistance, Bill Bennett, who you met before. So it's every Tuesday we have a team meeting, owner, architect, contractor. Every Tuesday and later, they have like a subcontractor meeting with all their trades, and things are just moving quickly. We have a good group of subs. They've been requesting to work on weekends, which has been nice. I mean, but really, there's a lot of, we were talking earlier, there's the capacity of the construction crews in Chicago are near their limit. There's been a lot of activity. There's not people sitting around union halls looking for a job. If they are, I don't know if you'd really want them on your job, but I mean, people are really busy just finding new workers. I think you guys talked about hiring
Yeah, we hired 8 last week.
yeah, I mean, they're few and far between. So it's been nice, and then they've basically been working with Jeff, and, you know, if working on a Saturday helps them stay on task, you know, on their nickel, they've been willing to do it. So it's really been nice, and that's where, I mean, this, in some cases, I think last week we had people working Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday, yep.
You know, so it's now been going 7 days a week. But it's only, I mean, the summer goes so fast. It's 50 days. If you miss one day, it's like, it's a noticeable problem. So, and that's where it's been nice. I mean, it's been fortunate that I live so close. Like I tell Jeff, I go, I'm going to drive past here at some point, either going to work or coming home. So if you have something or a sub has something, tell them, and I'd be happy to stop, because I just know we don't have any room for error, and it's been nice. And I want to make sure that they do it once the right way, and it's been really a great group of tradesmen. Really good guys, very smart, very dedicated, and you see how it's going here. I mean, it's a big project. I mean, the demolition, getting all that stuff out, and there's more lifts on this job, I think, than any project I've ever worked on, because there's just really not flat ceilings anywhere. Everything's high. So, I mean, a guy just trying to get a wire across the room, there's like one guy in a lift here and one guy in a lift there. And it's really, they've done a really good job of figuring out, staying on the critical path, staying on top of suppliers, and we've been busy.
Well, I'll tell you, just from seeing it a couple of weeks ago, walking through, it was stunning to see how much work had been done in that short period of time. When was that? A couple of weeks ago we walked
2
over
weeks
there?
ago.
It's just stunning to see just that.
Right.
Like, especially the, like, big open area in the high school.
Right. Because I bet then we had studs up at most at
Right.
the main office.
Right. So just to see from, you know, end of school to that, and then now to this point, it's truly remarkable.
Right.
It's truly remarkable.
It's going to be fun to see the students and the staff when
Yeah.
they come back.
Yeah.
It's going to be different. You know,
Well, I have to tell you, today I was at Starbucks and I ran into 2 graduates, and they came over to me and they're like, "Is it true there's going to be walls, and can we see it?" You know, so I said, "Yeah, we'll certainly have
There's
opportunities."
little pleasures in life, you know, having a wall.
Yeah, having a wall. It's you know, so anyway, and I have to say, you know, just living in the area, out of curiosity, I drive by the schools a lot, and it's amazing. I mean, I haven't heard one thing from neighbors complaining. I mean, I do take Linden sometimes to
Right.
cut through, and to see, you know, an addition going on to a building, and you don't see a lot of
Disruption.
mess and disruption and stuff. It's just amazing. And even at the high school, for the amount of work that's going on over there, you really don't know that that's what's happening. So
Right.
Kudos to everybody involved.
Kurt at Manning's been really sensitive to those
Yeah.
neighbors being so close,
Yeah.
and also at Miller. And
Yeah.
the only snafu we had was maybe early on, like there was some big delivery showing up right when a guy was trying to get out of his driveway. So, but you know, other than that, and Kurt's is really sensitive to it, so he makes sure it's clean. They're keeping the site clean, and then really trying to make sure during summer school, because the kids were being dropped off at the corner of Linden and Norfolk, he was making sure that, you know, the contractors weren't going to disrupt that. And early on, we had abatement and everything, so it kind of worked out. He's been really focusing on the inside, because that's actually the most critical path, and now this addition is kind of be the final piece that will be completed. But I really want to compliment Kurt Larson on what he's done too, because him and Jeff have just been a nice team working together.
A lot of help from Mike as well, and his team.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a huge help.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's been with us every day. I mean, I don't know if you're doing anything else this summer. God help you if you are, because.
It's been a pleasure, and they've been a pleasure
Yeah.
to work with, they really have.
And with the custodians at the different buildings, I mean, really working with them, trying to be, you know, cognizant, you know, is dust getting anywhere? Do we have to clean something up? What are you trying to wax? You know, there's a lot happening at Manning, and Don's been really patient, and so we'll be excited. I'm glad we did, you know, the corridors and everything last summer. You know, if we were doing that now, that would have really been biting off a lot. That was a big improvement, having that piece done. So, it's exciting. I'm really excited to see, especially the high school students, when they show up and see like the natural light and see the new commons and the new lighting and the finishes and the classrooms. I mean, the classrooms are really going to be something. I mean, these are like, state-of-the-art teaching spaces with interactive displays.
Well, could you talk about that for a second? You did talk about that when we walked around, but can you
So a
just
typical
mention that a
classroom-
little bit?
So a typical classroom, basically, all the lights are LED, they're all dimmable. I mean, even a light switch, a lot of teachers would have begged for in the past, because you remember how it was lit in zones, you couldn't turn off your lights. So now there's a dimmer and a switch at the door and at their teaching station. And their teaching station basically has a whole series of inputs from anything you could possibly plug in. Plus there's Apple TV connection. And then there's going to be basically a 65-inch LED flat screen interactive display, which is basically it's a 4K high definition display, but it's also a touch screen. So it can be used instead of an LCD projector projecting at a wall and then issues with shadows and throw and everything. This basically puts it all together. So if you're showing a movie about the Amazon, you can show that, but you can also go up there and pick a menu on a computer screen and drive and search the internet on it. So it's really kind of the cutting edge of what teaching is doing. And it's been inspired in a way, you're familiar with smart boards. So this is basically fusing the LCD projector, a smart board, and a flat display all together. And I just think that what the teachers are going to do with this is just going to be fascinating, because it really, I mean, you can say, okay, Johnny, go up, and they're driving the program. I mean, they can be doing the search on the screen. It's connected, there's Wi-Fi in every room, so the Wi-Fi coverage has gone up extensively, and then the ability, there's all kinds of HDMI inputs. So I'm really just fascinated to see what they do with this. But it's the only client we have that's done some of this, and they've done very little bit, is Nutrier. They've done it in some special ed spaces because the special ed teachers were really invested in the smart board approach. They really found they were getting great benefit for the special ed students, so they're using them there. But this is going to be in every single classroom you have in this renovation. And it's exciting. I mean, I've been teasing the IT people and Jack and his team that, when are you training your staff? Because I mean, there'll be, the kids will probably know how to use all this stuff, as they walk in the room. But it's just with your whole one-to-one computing, your plan on technology, I just think you're hitting a perfect timing here. And then, like we talked about before, the fact that the LED lighting costs have drawn down. I mean, all this lighting that used to be on, fluorescent or HID, now being LED, a big energy savings there. And then also, for Mike's sake, not changing light bulbs. And these fixtures, they have a 2-year warranty on labor and material on it. If they make it through that burn-in period, they should last, until everyone in this room is retired and moved away. So we're excited about that. And, it's the future, but it was just, your timing was actually in that way. I mean, I know it's frustrating on the referendum side, but your timing just caught with the price drop to where you can now get an LED fixture for about the same cost as one of these.
Well, it just, one more comment, just again, we have been completely focused on safety, security, and learning environments, and I think you all have really been able to do all that and stay focused on what it is we were looking to do.
Right. I mean, even though there's a safety part, I don't think people are really going to focus on that. I mean, they will. They'll realize, okay, now the main office is where it should be, versus like you come to a school and you can't find where it is because it's on the second floor in the back. The principals will be an awful lot happier because they can manage their buildings properly. And then, we have improved accessibility. And also some minor things, like Miller was an example where that was the oldest PA system in the district. And it didn't have the ability, you basically had to get to the microphone or you couldn't really make a call. So we were moving it from the second floor, there's a field of cables coming to that, and then we're trying to get down the first floor. And then we basically worked with Pepper and did an analysis of what would it cost to, instead of doing that, getting a new system where you don't have to have that microphone and everything, but you basically use the phone systems to tie in and make PA calls. Because, we talked with Tim and said, say you're in the library and something happens. I mean, he'd have to run to the office to get on the intercom. Now he could pick up a phone in the library and make an announcement. So, and that was basically what had happened just over time with things failing and kind of being replaced at the other school. So we were able to do that, and actually, I think we got money back. I think we got $5,000 back on the whole deal, and it was great because we got a better system for less money. But some really good trades. Hamilton Electric's been fantastic, Premier Mechanical, on these Pepper's special self-perform group on drywall. Just great tradesmen, and so it's been really a pleasure. But they've suggested things like that. We've had plenty of questions, but a lot of them have been good questions, like, what about doing this? And in the end, you've benefited from a better solution, so we're excited.
Well, there was a time we had, a number of years ago, we had parents coming to our board meeting and discussing the fact that we were, delivering services to students in the hallways, whether it was, book buddies, or whether a student was getting extra help from a TA, that those services were being delivered, just basically in the hallway at a desk with a chair and
Right.
and so over the years, I know we have increased the number of breakout spaces, and
Right.
it's good to see that trend continue, just because it, I think, was a long overdue need in our
Right.
district that's probably about being addressed as best it can be to
Right.
the capacity.
Yeah, I think we've been
that we can.
incremental. Like now Miller will be better. Years ago, when we did that renovation with the library and computer lab and moved the administration here, created a small breakout room up on the upper level of Manning. I'm talking to Kristen, that thing's booked. It's a valuable space, and I think as we go forward in the future at Manning, trying to create more of those opportunities. The high school is fascinating. And in the arc of classrooms, we have we have 3 small group spaces kind of scattered around there, and they're basically kind of a half classroom. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I mean, right now there's really no place for even teachers to meet and collaborate. So what can they use that with? Can that be a small group? It's just going to give some flexibility to the curriculum that I'm really excited to see how they react to it. Student services, the improvements at Miller, that's going to be big. Having better meeting space, and I think this workroom alone at Manning, I think is going to be real positive, because right now it's been really disruptive. I mean, just coming to get mail, all the staff are coming into the office and really disrupting the functions of the office. Years ago, when we first did the renovation at junior high, that was one of the first requests was, can you get the mail room out of the office? Because we like to see these people, but there's a lot going on here. So we moved that across the hall, and to do that at Manning was really a plus. So excited. I mean, it's amazing all the different projects that have gone on over the years, but this is a big one, to address. The high school was probably your biggest weakness in an educational manner, like where architecture was hurting you, because those were just so hard to enclose those classrooms. If it had been easy, it would have been done in the 80s. It was just really hard, and about a $5 to $6 million undertaking. But I think it's going to be exciting to see. I think the kids and the staff won't really think about the security, but they'll think about the educational improvements. But again, you do a drill, with the police department, they'll be able to lock down every classroom and pull the shades and, get away from the door. That's a real plus. But then acoustically, like those, I didn't really get into it, but like all those walls, they're, just under 8 inches wide. They're 6-inch studs with resilient acoustic channels, full of insulation. We really wanted to really focus on acoustics. Jeff and I have been working in detail about that, just trying to figure out, is there any path where we can get sound through here and not do that? So I think and you could hear it. It was interesting, like last week when I was going through there and working with Jeff, and I'd be in a room and a guy's in the next room working, and you could just hear how it muffled that sound. And that's such a nice thing at the high school, because before, you could hear anything. Especially those doors at the end to close off that academic wing during lunch periods. I think that's going to be huge, because I don't know how, the library was open to the lunch area. So now that's not done yet. You'll see that probably coming in a few weeks, is the storefront and the glazing that will take. It'll still be very bright and airy, but it's going to be enclosed. So the sound of the commons will not be in the library area. It's going to be a big change for them, a positive change.
Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Impressive.
Thank you,
very
everybody.
much.
Please come tour, because it gets really exciting now.
Well, we're going to have to do something. I was thinking, how
Yeah, I
when we
wanna
had all
tour.
these meetings with the referendum and stuff, we have to have like an open house for the community to come in and see all of this at some point. So we'll have to have a conversation about that. All right, well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
so much.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda, an action item, approval of contract with Advantage Technologies.
Yes, Nadine talked about this at one of the earlier board meetings, and because of the increased one-to-one technology at the high school, there is a need to put in some additional cabling and update some of the non-renovation areas in the building. And so while we have this contractor on site, they're already doing the work in the renovation areas. And we have some E-rate funding available this year that most likely will not be available next year, so a 40% reimbursement. We would like to continue and just get the high school done with the wireless upgrade. So we're seeking your approval for this tonight.
That's great.
So it's $71,000 and 40% of that's going to be refunded to us?
Yes.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, any questions? All right. Then the chair will entertain a motion to approve the contract with Advantage Technologies LLC in the amount of $71,000 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Flatbush.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we're pulling the approval of the furniture contract. We don't have that yet tonight.
That will come to you at
At a future
hopefully
time.
soon.
Okay, great. All right, the next item on the agenda is discussion about the tentative 2016-2017 budget.
Yeah, but that's hers. That's- Okay, close that one. Okay, well, okay.
I like this mouse.
No. Okay. All right, tonight we have the 2016-17 tentative levy for you, or not, a tentative budget. Sorry, that's hopefully not the levy yet. Revenues by source, we have them broken down by all funds and the operating funds. And in both instances, all funds or operating funds, property taxes are the largest source of revenue for the district, comprising roughly 83 to 84%. We have about 4.9% local sources. State funding is a little over 8% and federal around 3%. And revenues in all funds, a little over 27 million, and in the operating funds, 25 million. Our revenue assumptions include a tax levy based on the CPI of 0.8% for the 2015 levy and 0.7% for the 2016 levy. And again, property taxes are the largest component of our revenue. Interest rates have increased slightly in the near term, but again, are still at very low rates. And we have seen a decrease in revenue from grants. At the time when I prepared this, we did not know what our IDEA and IDEA preschool allocations were. We just got those yesterday. They're just slightly below what last year had been. Our Title I allocation is lower than anticipated, and that is based on some of our free and reduced population not being as large as it had been in the past. This year, the government did pass the funding for elementary and secondary education, as he did last year, but this will be the second year in a row where we do not have a state budget. And in that, when they did pass the funding, we did receive an increase in general state aid of $150,000. They are supposed to be fully funding it this year. When we look at our expenditures by object, again, they're broken out by all of our funds and then our operating funds. And again, salaries are the biggest component of our expenditures. Salaries and benefits comprise over 75% of our expenditures. So again, obviously that's, where we need to really be focused on how we're spending our money. When we look at purchase services, about 10.8%, supplies are 5%, capital outlay just under 1%. Capital projects, you'll see almost $9 million worth of projects for this year, and that's you don't see that amount of money in the operating funds because the capital project is not one of our operating funds. And that's for the projects that we just had the presentation about tonight. And then tuition's about 5%, 5 to 7% of our budget, and then some non-capitalized equipment. So all funds, an expenditure budget of $37.8 million, again, because we're doing $9 million worth of projects this year. And then in the operating funds, $27.4 million. And just to kind of recap too, the operating funds include our education, our operations and maintenance, tort, transportation, and IMRF and Social Security funds. The expenditure assumptions include salaries per contract for the WTA. The contract for WESPA has not been settled, and then it does not include the WCMA contract, which we will look to approve this evening. We have medical insurance budgeted at the current rates for half the year, and then at 6% increase for the remainder of the year. In the O&M fund, it includes funding for capital expenditures identified in the 5-year capital plan. Some of these include concrete replacement, roof repairs at the high school, and a mower with snow blower and brush attachment. And then the capital projects and fund includes the cost for the safety and security renovations at the high school, the junior high, Manning and Miller, and then some anticipated costs for summer 2016 projects. So this shows the revenues and expenditures and then the surplus or deficit by fund. In the ed fund, about $1.1 million deficit. Tort, we're positive. O&M, about $466,000 deficit, and that is a planned deficit with some of the projects that we've identified, doing some expenditures for those replacements. IMRF and Social Security are roughly balanced. Transportation, we're estimating about a $77,000 deficit. So total in the operating funds, $1.6 million. And then obviously you see almost a $9 million deficit in the capital projects fund. We're not deficit spending there. We received our revenue, our $9 million of revenue in the 15-16 school year, and the majority of our expenditures will be in the 16-17 school year on a cash basis. And then we've budgeted to, we're going to have our 5-year or our 10-year life safety survey done this year. So we did budget some expenditures in the fire prevention and safety fund in anticipation of doing some projects based on that. All right, and then this just shows a fund balance summary by fund for the operating funds, and then again for the other use funds. And again, the $10.7 million total, don't be concerned about that because $9 million of that is for capital projects. Things to consider, our revenue projections, as they have been historically, are conservative. Our expenditures are based on anticipated needs. The 2016-17 budget is aligned with the board and district goals to provide educational services to the students and families we serve. And we do have a planned deficit spending in the O&M fund. And again, the state of Illinois has not passed their budget for the second year, but did make appropriations for elementary and secondary education. And I also wanted to include this slide this year. We have talked about this at a prior board meeting. We've talked about it at our joint committee meetings. These items on this slide are not incorporated in the budget. So there was an error in our CPPRT allocation by the state. They overpaid us $37,230. We don't know how or when they plan to recover that, so that may be something that impacts this year's budget. Senate Bill 16 is still looming out there. Impact could be $1.1 million, spread over 4 years and phased in. Again, the TRS pension cost shift at $66,000 for year one, and then it grows after that. And a property tax freeze, when we did our 5-year plan, we talked about it was about $215,000 for every 1% of CPI. So these are all things that we need to be aware of as we continue to, as we spend our money this year, as we look to how we're going to spend our money next year. We have in the past, we come in better than budget, which is always good. Our revenue is conservative. We estimate everything we're going to spend, and we did cut off spending a month earlier this year to try and make sure we came in better than projected, and we did right now. I have not had a chance. I'm still closing out the fiscal year. We will have a deficit, but significantly lower than what was projected. But again, we've had 5 years of surplus budgets. This is the first year we're on the cash basis. We have done some deficit spending. So we do want to be cognizant of that as we move forward, because we've put a lot of great programs in place and we want to try and maintain those. So depending upon what happens with the state funding and things like that, we may need to make some adjustments. But I want people to be aware that we need to make sure we stay on the right path here in terms of spending. In terms of budget timelines, the budget will be it's presented this evening. It'll be on display for a minimum of 30 days at our administrative offices, which are at 133 South Grant Street. Somebody wants to come and take a look at it, it will be there. The legal notice will be published in the newspaper on August 3rd, and then we have to have the public hearing and final budget adoption by September 30th. And so that public budget hearing will take place on September 27th at 7 p.m. right here at the Village Hall. Anybody have questions?
I have one quick question. When you were giving us that the presentation about finances, and you were saying that if we don't get the state money, we don't get the federal money, and so because the governor, there's no
Pass the
budget, but
we will get that money.
we will
We
get the
receive
federal money.
that money.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought so, but I thought I just
Yep.
wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Yep. So that was good news.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
The only other comment I have is I'm happy to see the conservative viewpoint, because as this one very happy slide shows, that we don't know some things that are going to be coming to us. So I appreciate conservative
All right.
thought process.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions then? Are we, Kim, are you ready to move to the motion then? Okay. Any other questions? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the tentative 2016-2017 budget as presented, and that said budget be available for public inspection in the district's business office from July 15th. Is that right?
July
No, July
27th.
July 27th, 2016, until board adoption on Tuesday, September 27th, 2016.
So moved.
Second?
And roll call, please.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, superintendent's report.
Just a couple items in my report. Again, just a reminder that for the 2016-17 school year, registration will be taking place on August 11th and August 18th. And on both of those dates, the times are from 2 o'clock p.m. until 7 o'clock p.m. at the junior high, and that's for all district schools. And if there are any board members who are able to volunteer their time, it's greatly appreciated. Over the years, we've had board members who have volunteered, and they typically are in the junior high office with Nadine Norris, helping new families who are new to the district enter their information to Skyward. And so it's an opportunity for board members to meet our new families, but then it also helps us move families through the registration process. And then the other item is our administrative team. We just completed our summer retreat. And if the board remembers, a couple of years ago, we had a board admin workshop and talked a little bit about the district and the direction we would like to see the district go. And with everything that's coming along with the Common Core and standards-based grading, we thought the timing would be good if we could agree on a date for an admin board workshop again. Tentatively, the admin team, we were looking at August 30th, which is a Tuesday, so board members could let me know if that would work for your schedules. We'd probably start at 6 o'clock, have a light dinner, and then have an opportunity to talk a little bit about the district and get the board's input. And I think it was very productive the last time that we did that. So if you could let me know about August 30th, that would be great.
It was very productive, so it would be good to do another one. And I can help with the registration. Should
Okay.
we let somebody know, or?
If you let me know, and I can
Okay,
let
I'll
Nadine
you
know.
Yes. Yes. Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, are there any board reports?
Well, I just had a quick comment for Kevin. I know last year at registration, some students helped out, and that also helped with their hours, their service hours, so we might want to get the message out there. That was very helpful to have some of them there, just meeting and greeting and handing out some basic information.
You know, I was on Skyward today. I went on briefly because someone said you can see who the teachers are. Anyway, is it?
Not true.
Is it, what?
What's that? That's not true. We heard that too. That's not true.
Well, they're your homeroom teachers there. Is it up for parents to now start
I think so, isn't it?
with the registration process?
It's
Okay.
started,
So- I thought.
this week or.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's.
I thought so, so it's up there for parents. So for those that can do that, it does help with the
It does
registration
move them along
tremendously if you can take care of that ahead of
Yeah.
time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can pay online now, which is the preferred method.
Yes, yes. Could, maybe before each of these, can we send an email to all the parents just reminding them of that? Because some people sometimes come to registration forgetting that they have to do that, and then it slows the whole thing down, so. Okay.
I guess I have one more question. I recently received a letter from Jack Balderman with some great news about the school, but he was inviting the students to come to lunch and meet with him. I think it was August 19th. I'm just wondering, I mean, did that only go out to high school parents? Did that also go out to maybe recently graduated 8th grade parents and students?
I'd have to check with Jack to see if it included the
I
income.
mean, I understand you might not want, the younger grades there, but I mean, if you recently graduated, you're coming to the high school this year, I mean, it might be an opportunity to walk
I
into the
can,
building and.
yeah, I'll talk to Jack and
Okay.
find out.
Yeah, Gary and I were talking about that, and we didn't get one. And you
I
have a-
did get one.
You did?
Okay.
Oh, so maybe we're just not invited.
Oh, I got
Maybe it did,
one.
yeah.
About Jack Balderman, yeah.
But about the invite for the
Yeah, I saw it.
lunch?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay,
I don't
well,
know if
All
it's
right, well, I'm
accident
sure
or not.
everybody got it or
Maybe
not,
follow
that's
up
all.
on that.
Could have, maybe
Yeah,
I'm just on
that
there
would be
somehow
good.
for whatever reason.
Period.
that would be good.
Probably wouldn't be a good week for people to tour the building.
No, not a
because
tour.
Okay.
Right, no, he's inviting them to lunch to talk specifically about
The AP.
the AP and education and everything like that. Yes, no, it's not a tour, let's make sure
Yeah,
that's
no, that
clear.
came, it came from Jack.
We'll be doing a lot of moving.
No,
Yeah, no, that came from Jack, so.
It's after the
okay.
15th, that's the August 19th. It's after that 15th
Right.
Yeah.
day, August 15th. Ramp up, whatever that day was
Yeah,
called.
there'll still be moving desks.
Yeah, we'll be moving.
Well, you know what? Get the kids over there, help move them desks. Okay, any other board reports? Okay. Are there any public comments? All right. So future meetings, as we just talked about, registration August 11th from 2 to 7, again at Westmont Junior High School, and that is for all schools. School board meeting August 16th at 7 o'clock here at Westmont Village Hall. And then the second registration August 18th, 2 to 7 at Westmont Junior High. Before we go into close, there will be a vote after closed session, so we will be coming back out for that. The chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining, personnel issues, student discipline, probable litigation, and security issues.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Knappus?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we will have that one item after closed. Okay, we have resumed from closed session. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the Westmont Custodial Maintenance Association negotiated agreement as presented.
So moved. Second.
And roll call, please.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Natbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes. Okay, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.